The grand hall of Joseon Palace Seoul glowed under soft chandeliers, casting warm golden reflections on the polished marble floor. Tea was the kind of luxurious, cinematic setting that could turn any press conference into a scene straight out of a high-end K-drama. Rows of reporters filled the hall, cameras ready, energy buzzing. The event was meant to highlight the launch of the pair's new project. But no one expected the afternoon to shift into one of the most talked-about moments in recent K-ant history. Kim Yoo-jung stepped onto the stage, her smile bright and steady. The atmosphere gently softened. Her dress, simple but elegant, shimmered under the lights. And her presence immediately drew every eye. She greeted the press with grace, answering questions with the sweet professionalism she had cultivated since childhood. Nothing seemed unusual, until the moment the interviewer asked a single, carefully phrased question. Yoo-jung SSI, what surprised you the most about Song Kang while working together? Her expression changed instantly. The reporters felt it before they even understood it, a spark, a shift, a ripple in the air. Yoo-jung pressed her lips together. Glancing sideways at Song Kang, who sat just far enough away to pretend he wasn't listening, yet close enough that his posture stiffened slightly. She let out a tiny laugh, one that wasn't scripted or polished. Then she said the words that sent the entire hall into a stunned silence. He looks cold, but he's actually the most playful person I've ever met. A burst of reaction swept across the hall, clicking shutters, muffled gasps, exchanged glances. Song Kang himself blinked, as if he genuinely hadn't expected her to reveal that. Yoo-jung continued, a mischievous glint forming in her eyes. Annoys me in the cutest ways possible. Laughter erupted. Reporters leaned forward, sensing gold. For years, the public had known Song Kang as the brooding, silent, sculpted visuals actor, a nice prince with sharp expressions and a cool aura that made him seem almost untouchable. On red carpets, he rarely smiled. In interviews, he spoke calmly, carefully. Every public appearance added to the myth, distant, composed, unreadable. But Yoo-jung had just shattered that image with a single sentence. She glanced at the audience as if deciding whether to continue, then she nodded to herself, her expression turning even more playful. You know, she said, he pretends to look all serious, but backstage? He laughs more than anyone. He teases everyone. Even the staff. The cameras clicked even faster. Song Kang lowered his gaze to hide a smile, an amused, betrayed, affectionate smile that completely contradicted his public persona. But Yoo-jung wasn't done. Once, she said, he told me he makes great coffee. So I believed him. She paused dramatically. He gave me a cup, and it was salty. The entire hall burst into laughter. Even Song Kang couldn't hold back. He covered his face with his hand, shaking silently with embarrassment and amusement. Yoo-jung looked straight into the camera as she added, it was not an accident. The cold prince buried his face in his hands as fans online immediately clipped the moment, declaring it the funniest and cutest thing they had ever seen from the pair. Reporters shouted follow-up questions, but Yoo-jung raised a hand, still smiling. That's just one thing, she said. He also hides my things. She explained that during filming, Song Kang would hide her script, her heating pack, even her gloves, only to return them with an innocent expression. He says it's for safekeeping, she said with an exaggerated sigh, but I think he just wants to see me confused. The crowd erupted again. Cameras captured every angle of Song Kang trying, and failing, to keep his stoic expression intact. He finally muttered, I was really protecting them, which only made Yoo-jung laugh harder. Reporters scribbled notes frantically. Fans watching the live stream exploded into chaos. But amid all the teasing, something softer shimmered through Yoo-jung's expression. Her voice lowered slightly, her tone shifting from playful to sincere. But there was this one moment. Song Kang's smile faded as he looked at her, sensing the shift. Yoo-jung took a breath. It was a freezing day on set. The wind was awful. I was shaking even with the heater on. She looked down for a second, as if reliving it. I didn't say anything. I thought he was too cold himself. But then he came and stood behind me. He didn't speak. He didn't hand me his jacket. He just used his whole body to block the wind. The hall quieted instantly. I didn't ask him to, she said softly. He didn't make a big deal out of it. He just stood there. As long as I needed. Song Kang blinked slowly, eyes lowering, as if caught off guard by the fact that she remembered that moment so vividly. Yoo-jung smiled faintly, and the softness in her eyes was unmistakable. Everyone thinks he's cold, she said. But that day, He was the warmest person there. The room exhaled as if the entire hall had been holding its breath. Netizens watching the live stream immediately flooded comment sections. This is crazy. I'm crying. Song Kang is so boyfriend coded. They are literally a drama, but inside the hall, no one spoke for several seconds. Even the cameras slowed. Sure whether they should capture the intimate quiet between the two actors. Song Kang finally looked at her. The faintest smile pulling at his lips, gentle and real. Yoo-jung looked back, and for a moment, their polished actor personas fell away. What remained was something simpler, softer, something that hinted at a connection deeper than teasing, deeper than friendship. And with that, the hall erupted once more, the perfect ending to part one of a story no one expected to witness that day. Long after the grand hall's lights dimmed and the official press conference ended, Kim Yoo-jung remained seated in a quiet lounge on the 36th floor of Joseon Palace. The city lights flickering beneath her like a glittering ocean. And staff moved quietly around her, giving her space as she prepared for a brief follow-up interview. Her earlier confession about Song Kang had already swept across Korean social platforms like wildfire. But the softness in her expression suggested there was still more she hadn't said publicly, pieces of truth she had guarded for months, maybe longer. When the interviewer joined her again in the lounge, atmosphere shifted. It was no longer the chaotic buzz of a media event. It felt more like a private conversation between two women sharing secrets in the soft glow of Seoul's night sky. The interviewer smiled gently. Surprised a lot of people today. I think no one expected you to talk about Song Kang like that. Yoo-jung let out a soft laugh, kicking a strand of hair behind her ear. I didn't expect it either. But sometimes the truth just slips out. She paused, her cheeks turning faintly pink. He isn't anything like what people think. The interviewer leaned in. What is he really like? Yoo-jung looked down at her hands, thinking, choosing carefully. He's shy, she said at last. Not many people know that. He pretends to be cold because he doesn't know how to act around people at first. But once he gets comfortable, he's this playful person who notices everything. Her voice softened as she continued. He's always teasing me. Not in a mean way. Familiar way. Like he's trying to make me laugh even on the toughest days. The interviewer smiled knowingly. He seems to treat you differently. Yoo-jung hesitated, but only for a breath. Then she nodded. Almost shyly. He does. He leaned back slightly, looking out the window as if watching a memory play out on the night sky. There was a day during filming, she began. I was feeling really down. Not because of the work, just a heavy day. Yes, I didn't hide it very well. Her lips curved faintly. Song Kang didn't say anything. He didn't ask what was wrong. Just quietly put a chocolate bar in my hand and walked away like nothing happened. The interviewer laughed softly. Very subtle. Tim, Yoo-jung said. He'll pretend he didn't do anything even when it's obvious. I thank him. He'll just mumble something like it wasn't me and run off. Her eyes sparkled as she remembered more. He has this habit of writing tiny notes. He leaves them in random places, between script pages. Inside my jacket pocket. On my water bottle. Nothing romantic. Verified quickly, cheeks warm. Just silly doodles or things like don't yawn too much today or remember to eat. The interviewer's eyebrows lifted. It's actually very sweet. Yoo-jung nodded. But he acts like it's nothing. Didn't spend 10 minutes drawing a cartoon fox holding a camera. Netizens would later describe this moment as the precise second their hearts collectively melted. The thought of the famously cold-looking Song Kang secretly doodling foxes for Yoo-jung was almost too adorable for the internet to handle. Still, the interviewer sensed there was something deeper. Beyond the teasing and the playful antics. So she asked softly. You think is the most special thing about him? For a moment, Yoo-jung didn't answer. She exhaled slowly. Expression turning sincere. Her voice dropping just enough to suggest she was now speaking from a place she rarely let anyone see. Takes care of people without showing it, she said. He's not the kind of person who asks, are you okay, because he's afraid he might sound awkward or intrusive. Instead, he just makes sure you're okay. She swallowed lightly, then continued. If the set is cold, he positions himself so the wind doesn't hit me. If I look tired, he quietly stands closer. He's silently reminding me that he's there. He never says it out loud, but you feel it. There was a long pause as the meaning of her word settled, soft, delicate. unmistakably heartfelt. The interviewer finally asked, "Do you think that's why people reacted so strongly to your confession today?" Yoo-jung let out a breathy laugh. "Think they've always been curious about him. He's hard to figure out from the outside. But when you get close, see how ridiculously warm he is." "Warm and annoying," she grinned. "Very, very annoying." Both women laughed, but the interviewer quickly caught on to the shift. Yoo-jung's tone had become brighter, more affectionate. "So then," the interviewer said slowly, "Song Kang to you?" Yoo-jung didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked out toward the glowing Seoul skyline again, her eyes reflecting the city lights like stars. She finally spoke. Her voice was soft, almost tender. "He's someone who pretends to be cold," she said. "I'm the only one who gets to see how warm he really is." The interviewer went completely still. There it was. The sentence that would break the internet within seconds of publication. The sentence that felt less like a co-star comment and more like a confession dressed in poetic truth. Netizens would later explode in chaos. She admitted he's different with her. This is not acting anymore. "Song Kang, what are you doing to her?" This is basically a love line. But inside the lounge of Joseon Palace, there was no noise. No frenzy, only the quiet, glowing atmosphere of two hearts described with honesty. Yoo-jung rose from her seat to leave. The interviewer asked one final question, "Will he be surprised when he reads this?" Yoo-jung laughed, the sound light and breathtaking. "He'll pretend he isn't," she said. "But he will be." She exited the lounge, her silhouette framed by the soft hallway lights of the luxury hotel. Moments later, when she reached the elevator, a tall figure was already waiting there. Song Kang, head lowered, hands in pockets, leaning casually against the wall, but the corners of his mouth twitching, just faintly, as if he already knew exactly what she had said inside. Didn't say anything as she approached, but Yoo-jung caught the small, quiet smile he tried to hide, and she smiled back. It was, without question, a real ending the public never witnessed, but the one that made this story feel less like entertainment news and more like a slow, unfolding romance written by fate itself.